Chad Nation, rise up. Oh my goodness. What a horrible time to be in the AAA industry. I don't think it has ever been this bad for them. The house of cards is crumbling down. Turns out that all those YouTubers that were warning them for years, it's finally coming to fruition. People are sick and tired of their shit. And I even made a post which is going viral right now where I'm summarizing all the shit that people are tired of. I'll probably make a video about it as well, just because it's a very popular post. Ubisoft is not only afraid right now, it's also lying. But first, let's go with, what do people mean by woke? This is a question that a lot of leftists just cannot seem to figure out. They're struggling with this concept. Like, what does a woke game mean? Why are people upset? So I made a very popular post. It's now at oh my goodness! I just posted it a couple of hours ago. It already got 40,000 views, a lot of likes, 1.2 thousand likes. And part of it is this: Sweet Baby Inc. employee admits that the goal is to burn the games industry to the ground. Dum dum dum. Why would you hire someone like that, right? Why would you ever consider hiring someone who is on public record stating that their goal is to destroy your way of business, to destroy your way of life? Imagine you're a baker and you're hiring, yes, we as consultants, we want to destroy the bakery. Okay, even better, you're actually in charge of a meat plant industry and you're hiring vegans as consultants. This is what's happening in the gaming industry. I'm not fucking kidding you. It's insane, right? So, like, you're picking someone and you're placing them in charge of your meat production facility, and they're like an outspoken vegan activist. They're like meat is murder type of thing, right? And you're putting them in place. Yeah, please tell us what the customer wants. Just tell us, because we don't know. You're vegan. You know everything about meat. So, alright, let's look at what exactly I consider to be the issue. The number one is the gender abolition ideology. I think like this has become so over the top in AAA games that people just have an adverse reaction to it. When people see it, it's just like something that really irks them the wrong way, and they are incredibly less likely to buy the product. So the gender abolition thing is being pushed because a lot of people think that Twitter and social media is in agreement with it. And this is because they used to ban anyone that disagreed with the gender abolition movement. So by extension, you'd only have positivity about it. It's the culture of toxic positivity that I saw some developers discuss. But in reality, the gender abolitionists are just like fringe extremists. Like, just go to a random woman on the street and say, hey girl, I really like how your transitioning is coming along. You're going to get slapped. Go to a random woman and call her body type B. Go to your mom and say, hey mom, happy body type B day. They'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Women like being women. They do not like being treated like men. Men don't like being treated as women. Throughout human history, gender, which basically means personality, okay? Personality existed, and there are differences when you apply it to men and women. Like, men have a type of personality, women have another type. Sometimes they intersect, but like overwhelmingly, most people are going to be part of that personality. Like for instance, if you have like a random family walking down the street and a dog appears in front of them and goes like, bah, 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 you're not going to see the woman pushing the man aside and positioning herself between the dog. Now, obviously, there would be such cases, like if you apply it to a sufficiently enough number of people, like you would probably see a woman that does that. But overwhelmingly speaking, no. So, like, people observe this behavior, and that's why they associated the personalities. Like, yeah, it's more likely that the man is going to position himself between the vicious animal and the woman, right? But you have this ideology that not only denies that this is the case, it also thinks that you are backwards for thinking it. It also insults you for thinking it and speaking it out loud. It considers you a danger to society. So they managed to ban everyone that thinks the way I'm thinking, which is pretty much everyone. And then, like, they created this culture of toxic positivity. So, the reality is that most people do not enjoy seeing women drawn or depicted as men. in games. They do not like that women are acting like toxic dudes, and any traditional concepts of femininity is erased. They do not like that they have overtly masculine features such as strong jawline, small breasts, and any other signifier that the artist adds in order to make the character gender ambiguous. Right? People don't like body type B, body type A shit. No, people want women to be women, like in Stellar Blade. What I've just described here is reality. And they can choose to deny it, pretend that they don't understand what it means, or pick on the syntax and the words I used, while ignoring the spirit of the message and calling people that disagree with them weirdos. But the reality is that not only people are not going to buy these games, they're also going to mock you for trying to sell it to them. Right? So, like, this is the first part of what is wokeness, is the gender abolition movement. The second one is the anti-capitalist themes. So you have games like Forspoken that have overt communist messages. You have games like, that are saying capitalism is evil, like Life is Strange. And the thing is, like, these games are made by multi-million-dollar corporations. The last entities on Earth that should lecture people about capitalism are multi-million-dollar corporations. Like, come on, fuck off. And by the way, they're only pushing what I consider to be safe anti-capitalist messages. Like, despite the fact that they're leftist as fuck, it's never the banker that's the evil guy. It's never the NGO that's related to a politician, and the politician, like, passes legislation to help the homeless, but the money gets laundered in through the NGOs that are supposed to solve the homeless problem, and they're just leeching money for themselves, right? They're never covering those aspects of capitalism. It's always, like, oh yeah, well, Dr. House from Fallout, isn't he a piece of shit? Yeah, don't you hate Dr. House from Fallout? Like, how can you like him? Like, what, you're some sort of bigot? That is the anti-capitalist messages that they're pushing. It's like very safe, very, very kosher, as the edgy kids likes to say. Thank you, Todd, for being a member for 3 months. Are you the Todd that made Fallout? I'm going to ban you if you're that Todd. If stereotypes are wrong, then why do they exist? There are two types of stereotypes, right? Like, it is true, though. Like, you don't have, like, the stereotype of the very tall Japanese woman with blue eyes and blonde hair, right? But there are stereotypes that exist because they are true, and there are also stereotypes like in World War II, the cowardly Jap. That was a stereotype that was pushed by the American government through Walt Disney and other corporations, and that was a false stereotype. So, like, yeah, you can have false stereotypes that are being pushed by the government, but most stereotypes do happen to have some validity to them. All the woke mass Minecraft. It's a good game. Hi V, hope all is well. You can tell the difference between rural folks and urban youth. I'm actually curious. I never spoke with other black people from rural areas before you, so I don't know if it's like a different culture, but it would be interesting to actually engage with more people from a rural background. Anyway, I lost my flow. Okay, I'm regaining my flow. Now, another thing that's also woke are blatant references to real-world politics. Blatant references to real-world politics always age poorly, and most people outside the United States don't even understand them. Examples of such things, Life is Strange, where a Trump supporter is beating up a kid and saying that this is why we need to build a wall. It's Watchdog Legions. It's like, oh, Brexit happened and now the UK is fascist. And again, it ages poorly because now the UK is under leftist government and it is more fascist than Watchdog Legion tried to depict it. I mean, for fuck's sakes, there's people going to prison over emojis on social media. But I would say even games that are supposed to be popular and they're getting a lot of good, I guess, like good publicity, they still do this. They still have like blatant references to real world politics. For example, Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know why a lot of people like that game. I mean, it's mediocre. It's not great. It's not bad. You know, it's got good gameplay. It's got good environmental graphics and shit. But the characters, if you think they're good, then it means you never played Baldur's Gate 2. Like, if you think the characters from Baldur's Gate 3 are good, you never played Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. If you think that the story of Baldur's Gate 3 is good, you never played Mass Effect. And yes, even with the endings. Right? You never played Star Wars The Old Republic if you think Baldur's Gate 3 is good. You just have low standards. It's a mediocre game. It's okay. Right? But like one of the things that I can point out to the game that it did, in Act 1, you actually have like a grove of druids that's refusing some thieflings shelter. So like you have the thiefling refugees and the druids aren't letting them in. And it's like, oh look, isn't this just like America, you guys? Isn't this just like the border? Isn't this that the druids are evil? And, you know, like, while in the story you can make the decisions that you don't care about the thieflings, so you can make the decision to wipe them out. You can wipe out the druids. You can do, like, a lot of stuff. The thing that really bothers me is that you can tell that the writers were sympathetic with the thieflings. And there's like this one really event that pisses me off the most. It's like you got a thiefling child that is stealing from the druids this priceless artifact, right? And I'm supposed to feel bad that the kid gets executed. And I'm like, okay, this is a fantasy environment, right? It's a medieval setting. And these druids allow the refugees in. They feed them, they shelter them, and in response, they steal one of their most priceless artifacts. And it's not like just a... You know, like in our world, like a relic or something. No, like that one actual has magical powers and abilities. So like, yeah, if the kid gets punished, I'm not the one punishing the kid, but like, do I need to feel bad? It's like, whatever, you know, but again, like, the writers really struggle to make you care. And it's all about real life issues. It's like, look, he stole. He doesn't deserve to get shot. I mean, he just stole, right? Come on. It's so Americanism. So fucking Americanism. I guarantee you, in 10 years from now, people will play the game and they will have like a completely different take while looking at it. In one of my old D&D games, we wiped out the orcs to save humanity. Am I racist towards Mexicans now? So for those of you who don't know, the new Dungeons and Dragons Grand Wizards of the Coast are trying to make it so that the orcs are like Mexican inspired. They have sombreros and shit now. Anyway, you wiped out the druids because they were anti-immigration. I wiped out the druids because they're disgusting nature hippies. We are not the same. No, but like the whole writing of the druids is that they were actually bad because the wrong person was in charge. And the moment you get rid of the wrong person, the new person is like, oh yes, we must protect the thieflings. And I'm like, it's so obvious what they are going with. It's so obvious, right? Like the leader of the druids is a Trump-like figure that's all for nationalism and protecting their borders, and protecting borders bad. So you need to bring the globalist in, and the globalist good. Like, I can see what they are doing. So my question is, like, look, I get it. Like, some people may like this type of politics. Fine. But why would I, as a right-winger, support this? Like, if I'm a right-winger, my family is right-winger, why would I give money to a company that's doing far-left propaganda over the top? What do I gain from it? Is it worth it? It's like, okay, so I watched like 10 minutes, like I watched a couple of hours of entertainment, right? And in exchange, I'm funding left-leaning propaganda so that teenagers who play this game don't fucking understand reality. Another example of teenagers not understanding reality also comes from fiction. For those of you who don't remember, a lot of people were naming their girls Daenerys because Game of Thrones was very popular at the time, and everyone was like, oh my goodness, Dany, right? And turns out the Daenerys was a piece of shit. Yeah, the Daenerys was a genocidal maniac. People didn't like that. But one of the things, like when Dany was popular, she goes to this city, right? Like, she's in the middle of the desert. She is about to die because they're running out of food, they're running out of water. Like, her entire Khalisad is just a couple of people now, and she's about to die. But she manages to reach the gates of Karth, I believe it was called. And in order to enter, she has to convince the leaders of Karth to let her in, right? So she's basically arguing her case, and no one besides a single merchant vouches for her. It's like, you got this black dude coming up, and he's like slicing his hand with a knife in order to symbolize that she is his guest and he is going to vouch for her, right? Now everyone is basically using this in order to argue for immigration. I'm not kidding. People on Twitter are this mentally deficient that they will use fiction in order to make their case, even when it doesn't make any sense. So they were saying, oh, look, you're turning to immigrants. Would you have turned Danny away? Would you have turned Danny away? What does Danny do, by the way? She kills the guy that let her in. Not only, and you know, you can say that is justified that she's killing him. She kills him in the most sadistic way possible. Like, she locks him up into this vault with no food and water. Which is ironic because that's what she would have died of, thirst and starvation, right? And the reason the guy gets killed is because he lets her in. And she keeps trying to get things from him. Like, she wants to take money from him. She wants to take shit from him. And eventually, he's like, well, this is an entitled brat. I'm just going to enrich myself by selling her to the warlocks. But by the way, after Khaleesi, like, this is another thing that I want to point out, right? Because a lot of people are trying to justify what Danny did. Again, like the same people that are, oh, you need to let Danny in. Oh, Danny is so strong for killing the person that let her in. She doesn't just kill the guy, she robs the guy. Like, even if you make the argument, well, yeah, but like he was selling her to the warlocks and that's horrible, so he deserves it. Okay, fine. Why did she rob him, though? Why did she take his shit? It wasn't hers to take. It wasn't her shit to take. So like, even in the fiction, immigration is not good. Like, the guy would have been better off had he just allowed her to stay outside the city. Right? I'm just trying to say, like, that... I paid Marvel $1 million to have Iron Man say refugee rights. You have to let them... I let a woman into my house and now my bed is covered with useless decorative pillows. Oh god, it happens, it happens. Right, so let's look at number 4. Complete war on heteronormativity. So, they decided that the male gaze is evil and has to be eradicated. So, you're going to see into these games, all the women, they look like men. Strong jawlines, small breasts, flat asses. So there's no fan service if you're a heteronormative guy, right? They go for the hag maxing, like in Concord, like all the women are with no eggs. But meanwhile, you also have shirtless men, big pecs, LGBT flags everywhere. So if you're into fan service, you neither need to transition or be gay, right? But if you're into heteronormativity, and it has the word normal in it, normativity, right? You don't get fan service. So, like, my point is, like, look, you don't have to make games with fan service. Like, not every game needs to have fan service. I'm fine with that. But if you're going to go out of your way to make fan service for queer folk, while also going out of your way to remove anything that could be potentially titillating for straight people, I see what you're doing. Get some fucking help. I'm not buying your product. Like, you're literally going out of your way in order to make it so that people don't like the product. I mean, dude, they're even outright saying this, right? They're saying this, that they want to burn the industry to the ground. So, like, they will create characters that appeal to queerness, right? They have characters with, like, again, strong, muscular men, shirtless men. Like, look at Mortal Kombat. All the men are shirtless, muscular, they look good. And LGBT flags everywhere, right? So queerness everywhere, fan service for queerness, but all the female characters, small breasts, big jawlines, no birthing hips, with few exceptions here and there, just so that it's not really over the top. But like mostly, right? Compare the female characters from Mortal Kombat 1, which came out now with MK9, and you will see a world of difference. Meanwhile, the same Sub-Zero from MK9 is the same Sub-Zero from now, right? With small differences, but they're still muscular, they're still like... So, it's so obvious that they are queers making games for queers, which is fine, you know? Like, I'm not against that. Like, you can have your queer stuff in the game. But why are you going out of your way to remove anything that can serve the male gaze? You know, they keep talking about, oh, the new character creator for Dragon Age is so great, it's so amazing. You can create everything except a woman with a big fat ass and massive tits. You can't create that. You can't create Liliana from Dragon Age 3. Like, I want to see someone creating Liliana from Dragon Age 3 in the new editor. You can't do it. And this is the reason why people don't support them anymore. It's because it's every game, and we know why you're doing it. We understand why you're doing it. And you can do it, but like, why should I pay for it? Why should I pay so you can get it done? Get it done with your own money. If you kill someone, why wouldn't you take their stuff? Well, you know, it was considered as it was a righteous move for Daenerys, right? Like, the guy was selling her to the warlocks, was selling her dragons, so, you know, like she got vengeance back. Because, like, he wouldn't have faced justice, he wouldn't have been arrested in a prison, so, like, she got justice by killing him. Which, again, the left doesn't seem to understand in this situation that, like what she did goes beyond that, because she was very sadistic. Like, locking a person in a vault with no food or water is really fucked up. But the second thing, she stole his shit. So, like, no, she's not a moral person in any way, shape, or form. Like just there is a difference between getting justice and being a sadist. And she crossed that line. Even Mortal Kombat export board aesthetic, yeah. Elden Ring also had the androgyny in character creator. The thing with Elden Ring, and I'll tell you why it works, because a lot of people are like, well, Elden Ring is woke and everyone likes it. Most of the women look like shit, but it's fine because you covered them in armor anyway. So, no, seriously, like, most of the character creator in Elden Ring, last time I checked, I mean, maybe they updated, but, like, I played it when the game came out, and you can't really make a beautiful female character. Now, you can do that in other games, but the thing is, it's not important, because you don't get to see your character anyway. Like, the moment you start the game and you put some armor on, they're going to look like a walking plate mail tank, so it's fine. But if Elden Ring was a different type of game where you played with your character, then you would have a different problem. Like here's my personal example, right? So, if you look at Diablo 2 Remake, like, this one is the worst. The worst. It's the worst character design that I have ever seen. So, like, I would have rather just made the character a man at this point. This is the Amazon, right? And she looks so fucking ugly, dude. It's like an eyesore. A blatant eyesore. To the point where the first thing that I did when I was playing the game was to find a helmet. Any helmet. It doesn't matter. Just a helmet. I would even, like, go out of my way to kill some mobs. And if they didn't drop a helmet, I would take the gold. And I would go to Geed. And I would ask Geed, give me a helmet, please. Please, Geed. Yeah, I need it. It's like, you know, like, if you're a person with some form of facial disfigurity where you have, like, scars on your face and you need to cover them so you can look presentable. The Man in the Mask or some shit like that. Dude, it was so bad. Now, here's the thing, right? There is a definition for this, which is called eye candy. Eye candy, it's nice. It makes you look at it. It attracts the vision. So this is why, like, a lot of rich people, they get a young woman. You know, you got Leonardo DiCaprio dating younger girls. It's because they're eye candy. It raises his social status. He goes to a party with those young women. Everyone looks towards him, right? Like, they attract attention. And companies realize that this is a basic human emotion. And they're like, okay, why can't we use eye candy to sell our product? Slap a pair of tits on a Gillette razor and people will buy it. And people will stop caring about the product because the lizard brain switches off, right? So this is like normal doing business. You use eye candy to attract. Now, whether you think it's moral or not is besides the point. But still, the concept is there. If you use eye candy, you get more people. Even YouTubers figured this out, that if you use thumbnails that are sexy, you get more clicks. The left discovered the concept of eyesore. Eyesore. Like, if you get a Muslim and you're asking the Muslim to look at the leftist character they created, the Muslim goes, ew, ew. Brother, ew. Brother, what is that? Ew. Ew, brother. Brother, ew. You know? So I genuinely think that this is part of their testing. Like, after they create a character, they break the Muslim, and if he doesn't react like that, they're like, okay, it's not ugly enough. We need to make it even more ugly until you get the brother ew. That is when you know that they have successfully created the masterpiece. So, they are banking on eyesore. I don't, and this is like going hand in hand with the gender abolitionist movement, right? It's like, well, of course, like, are you going to complain? Because now it's like a Rorschach test. Are you going to complain? Why? Are you saying she's not a real woman? Are you saying she's not a... No, I'm saying I don't want to pay $60 for it. Why would I pay $60 to look at this character for 30 hours of my life? You think I'm mentally insane? Right? So, in the case of Elden Ring, you don't get to see the character. And it's the same with Diablo 2. Like luckily, you can put a helmet on it, and there you go. But, like, if I could have chosen, and like, the first game that I played as a male character, because usually I play as a female character in every single game. Why? Because it's not about identifying with the character. Like, when I play an RPG or something, I don't think that I'm the character. It's basically what I'm forced to look at for the next 40 hours that I'm playing, right? So, like, if I play a game like Tomb Raider, I prefer watching a pretty ass and a nice face than if I was to, play with Kratos. Like, they're both fine, but I prefer playing as a female character all the time. And the first game where this didn't happen was Diablo 4, because all the women look like men. And they're like a simulacrum of a man. I don't even know how to describe it. They're just like, ew, brother, ew. So, a lot of people feel what I feel, right? Now, the thing is, like, there's a lot of people that I know who buy games just because of the eye candy. The perfect example of this is the game Blaze Blue. Right? No, I think it's Blaze Blue. No, hold on, it's not Blaze Blue. It's, I forgot the name of it. Grand Fantasy Versus. Yes. So, in that game, they released Nier Automata as a DLC character. You look at the Steam sales and the people currently playing, it jump spiked. It was fucking insane. Just because they released a pretty character, that's it. And it was a DLC. Like people decided, who didn't even care about the game, who wouldn't even want to buy the game, they spent over $60 on the game and $10 for the DLC just to play as Nier. You can make a decently sexy character in Elden Ring if you are good with the sliders. But again, like, why do I have to be good with the sliders? Like, why do I feel that I have to struggle against the editor in order to come up with a character that's decent looking? Before 2016, it was the other way around. Like, you had to struggle to make an ugly character. Greetings, Romanian. Please demonstrate the queerness of Soul Reaver on D&D. At least none of my stuff looked like it was made by the queer, despite me being gay. You should show chat if you want. Oh, yeah, I will. So, basically, they are remaking, and this is like another video that I want to make. They are remaking Soul Reaver now. Everything has to be a remake. At least in the case of Soul Reaver, I'll give them a break because it's an old game, so it could actually use a remake. Let me see if I can find it. They fucked up with one of the statues. Right? And this is like the part where they like gaslighting people. Right? You pointed out that the new statue looks like a man. Like, this is the previous statue, and it's obviously feminine. And when they remade the game, they made the statue more masculine. And this is the gender abolitionist ideology that I keep telling about. Like it's done with a purpose. And how do I know? Because they're outspoken about it. I feel bad about these employees. I genuinely do, because they are struggling to get the word out. They are dying to tell people, look, this is what we want to do. This is what we want to accomplish. And everyone marginalizes them. No one listens to them. So in the case of that statue, again, it's not a big thing, right? Like, it doesn't... Like, you don't play the game to see the statue. But I know the mentality of the people that created the statue. Right? And meanwhile, when you look at the left, you say, oh my god, V, you're exaggerating. Okay, let's look at what the left does. The Wizards game comes out, and they freak out because, like, oh, but what if J.K. Rowling gets royalties from the Wizards game? We are going to go after streamers, and we're going to cancel female VTubers who play that game, and we're also going to boycott the game, and we're going to ban anyone from Reddit that mentions the game, and we're going to remove the game from any possible awards. This is how they act. Right? So when I act and I say, yeah, I don't agree with this ideology, I don't want to support it, I don't want to be a wallet for a company that pushes for this, Oh my god, you crybaby! Oh, you snowflake! And then shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! I know who you are. It's not only this, but the gaslighting is the first thing, right? And the second thing is like, if you know what they are doing, how is it different than what the left used to do when they were like, oh, well, this person working with this game has said something racist. Unless you fire him, I'm not going to buy the game. And then it's like, oh, you mean the update in lighting and textures? Oh, shut the fuck up. Like, this one looks feminine, this one looks androgynous. You can ask ChatGPT if you don't believe me. That's another cool thing, you know, because like ChatGPT is neutral. Like, it's not politically oriented. Like, it doesn't fight in the culture war. So you just show it a picture and you're asking it, hey, I'm an artist. And this is a feminine statue. Did I do a good job? The new statue looks like the HR lady. She does. Have you played the battle for Wenstock? No, I have not. Yeah, exactly. I know what it means in the larger context. Like, the left was the ones that were like, well, nothing exists in a vacuum. And now they're upset that people are starting to agree with them. But they're coming to their own conclusions. It's like, yeah, the premise is correct. Yeah, like, I'm starting to agree with your premise. It's just that I don't agree with your conclusion. So, let me see what else we had. Where the hell is the post? All right. This one is very simple, right? Hiring activists and toxic community managers. My answer to this is like, I don't like buying from places that insult me or my friends. Simple as. I don't think that this is a wrong way to put it, right? Like, no normal person goes to a store where they're getting insulted. Like, if you go to a restaurant and the waiter insults you, you're not going to go to that restaurant again. If you're going to a supermarket and the cashier lady is disrespectful, chances are you may go to a different supermarket. But for some fucking reason, when you have developers that go like, it's not for you! Oh, you bigots! Gamers are toxic! Why would I buy their product? Fuck you. You're not my mom. Inclusivity. Inclusivity. The way I responded to this, you can go fuck yourself right up with this one. We want gamers... No, sorry, we want games where players can see themselves. Like, seriously, what deranged lunatic come up with this stupid take and they wouldn't laugh off of the room? Why would anyone pay $120 to see themselves when they can look in a mirror for free? I play fantasy games to see fantasy, not things like people with cellulitis, diabetes, and other skin diseases. If your fantasy revolves around staring at sickly people for more than 40 hours, then that's good for you. I hope that more people like you create enough demand so that the market can exist. In the meantime, I will play Stellar Blade. The main issue with this is the fact that it breaks immersion, right? Like, we got chess cards in Dragon Age of Consent. And as I mentioned before, where do they get the doctors, the anesthesiologists, the chemists to make the drugs, the physicians to develop the machines which required for them to see the imagery in order to perform the high-tech surgery? Like, there is a difference between suspension of disbelief and absurdity. Like, I can get the world of Dragon Age, right? Like, magic exists, so my belief is suspended. But they don't have a setting where they have doctors and anesthetic and that type of shit. And if magic exists, then why can't they just polymorph people? But like, speaking about polymorphing, like, this is where it doesn't make sense even from an ideological point of view. Because apparently this is to make trans people feel more welcome in the game, included. Why wouldn't a trans person just play as a female or a male in the game? Why wouldn't they just create a beautiful looking female character and play with that if that's what they identify with? Why would they play with this simulacrum? Again, I give this example because I think it's the best. It is the most eye-opening. Like, imagining if you're making World of Warcraft and for some reason you want to appeal to the furry community. And you're like, okay, we're going to create Worgans because furries really like Worgans. But we want furries to see themselves. So instead of like making the Worgan design, we're just going to make it look like it's a man in a suit. Like, all Worgans look like a man in a fursuit. Because we want furries to be included. We want furries to see themselves. Who the fuck would play that game? Even the furries wouldn't buy it. They'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Just make a organ. And finally is the Malice, right? The people that are pushing for this ideology are very outspoken about the fact that they want to destroy the gaming industry. Like, they go in public and they absolutely state, like, they flat out state that they're doing this in order to destroy the gaming industry. They're very smug, they're very condescending, they think they're better than you, they think they're more educated than you. And the question is, like, why do I need to fund these people? If it means stop buying games until companies either can't afford to hire these consultants or the companies realize that these consultants are toxic for them, then so be it. It's video games. It's not water. It's not food. I can live without them. I got a back catalog of games. Hell, fuck it. I can create my own game. I can even fucking create my own game. That's how pissed I am about this shit. And I'll make it in a way that I know is going to violate every single point that they have on this list. And there's jack shit they can do about it. So yeah, they underestimate my Steam back catalog, yeah. This is another thing that pisses me off when they say, oh, it's like games need to be inclusive so everyone can, like, it's not fair. It's like, what do you mean it's not fair? You can make your own game. It's 2024, you can crowdfund. Just crowdfund. Make your own fucking game. Make the game you want to see. And if it's good, people will buy it. But you know that it's not good. Yeah, it's the thing that it needs to make sense, right? Like here's another thing about what pissed me off in Baldur's Gate 2.5. They introduced a trans character, right? And in that game, you can play as the world's biggest asshole. Like, Baldur's Gate was a game that was made which allowed for wide role-playing capabilities. You wanted to be like a psychopath, you could be that. You wanted to be like a very good dude, you could do that. Like, it allowed you for a lot of role-playing until you meet that trans character that's an NPC, and you cannot be a dick to them. Like, the dialogue option is not there. You just are not allowed to be an asshole, and it's immersion breaking. Because immediately you know why you're not allowed. Like, you're aware of why the developers do not allow you to do that. You can be an asshole with everyone else. Literally anyone else in that game, just not that character. Why do that? Are we allowing them in our tree fort? Well, because people keep buying them. But luckily, people have stopped. People are giving them the middle finger. Or unironically, just learn to code and make your own game. You don't even have to learn to code. Just hire a coder. Which is what I did. But V, it's 2023. You can't be mean to the T people. It's not even being mean to the T people. Like the activists don't care about the T people. They're using the T people as a way to grift. And to make cash. You know, they call content creator grifters. But, like, here's the difference. When, EFAP happens, when you got Baller, and he bitches with Critical Drinker, and they're having a stream, and they're complaining and they're whining for 5 hours, going frame by frame, they actually have an audience. There's actual people there listening to them. Right? So even if they were grifting, because like what would grifting mean? Grifting would mean that they would actually love these movies, right? Like Critical Drinker would be a huge Star Wars fan. Like he would absolutely love Disney, but because it's profitable, he would be shitting on Disney nonstop, right? Like this is what I would understand by grifting. Like he notices that there is money to be made, so even though he doesn't hate Disney, he will just like make this in order these content in order to get money off people. But like, let's look at what these consultants are doing. These consultants, do they play games? Do they enjoy their games? Do people like the games that they make? No one likes the games that they make. The only reason they're making money is that companies hire them, and companies hire them so that they can get cheap ESG loans. In other words, they stop caring about the customer. And that is grifting. I bet like if you ask BlackRock, if you talk to someone at BlackRock that's in charge of this shit, and you ask them, do you want people to play the games that you're funding? They would probably say yes. And it's like, yeah, but like, don't you notice that the consultants that are pushing your ESG shit, they're making games so bad no one plays them? Because like, here's the thing, that if you hire me to make you a woke game, I would actually make you a game that people enjoy playing. You can make a woke game that's good. But like, for some reason, they don't have the talent. That's the issue. All these consultants are basically racketeering companies out of their cash. I mean, they do go at private events, at public events, and they basically say you need to terrorize the salespeople. And basically tell them, hey, if you don't have diversity, we have people on Twitter that are going to come after you. I find older games more rewarding because you can tell that they cared more. Yeah, you get to see that in indie games. By the way, there's a new game that's coming out, and I'm calling it right now. It's gonna be shit. And a lot of you are going to argue with me. A lot of you are going to say, V, no, V, no. No, it's gonna be shit. So, the Japanese people are already pissed off. The new Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yotei, right? They decided to go with a female samurai. None of them existed in history, but hey, why the fuck not? That's not necessarily a problem. Okay? Because like, it's inspired by samurai movies. You want a female samurai without ass and tits. Perfect. But look what they hired. They hired an activist. They hired an outspoken activist that blocks gamers, that hates gamers, doesn't click, doesn't vibe, doesn't connect with gamers at all. And the question is, out of the thousands of women that wanted to voice act for you, out of the thousands of women, why did you pick the activist? Why did you pick the most extreme, outspoken person, very political, very divisive, doesn't click with gamers? Why did you go for that person? And that is the question that I don't think they can answer. Or if they do, I won't like the answer to, right? So I think the game is going to be shit. I think that the people in charge that are making these casting decisions are going to make other casting decisions that will also piss me off. And this is not the first time that it happened, where you have a video game that's really great, it starts off strong, but then the wokeness happens. And it's like a simulacrum of its former self, right? No, I wasn't blocked by her. Why didn't they continue Jin's story? I don't get it. I don't get it either. Like, no, actually, I do get it. Like, I'm telling you what's happening. This is my assessment, right? They didn't expect that the first game was this popular. They got backlash from the game journalists because they didn't hire the consultants. Like, if you guys remember, the criticism was that this company hired the white guy to play a Japanese flute. So that they don't have diversity consultants. And now they decided to go with diversity consultants. So they decided to hire these people. And like, if the lead character is voiced by a raging activist, these raging activists, like, they do not work with you unless you're woke. Like, let me give you an explanation, right? Now that I'm an indie person, making indie games and shit, I actually speak with other indie game developers. And they all tell me the same things. English voice actors are incredibly difficult to work with. Like, I have a friend that's making his own game, and he's telling me that he basically shot on Ubisoft, Ubisoft, he shot on that game in public. And one of his English voice actors contacted him and went like, well, you're such a nice guy to work with, and you always pay me on time, but like, I can't stand with your takes. Like, I support trans people, and I support marginalized people, and I support marginalized groups, and your behavior on Twitter is unacceptable, and I don't think we can work together. And after that, 2 other voice actresses left. And I'm talking with him, and it's like, dude, I'm working with Japanese voice actresses. Do you know how fucking cool it is? Lines are delivered on time. They keep it strictly professional. And on top of that, I asked the Japanese voice actress, hey, can you scream? And she said, oh, I'll record a studio. I'll borrow a studio. Sorry, my bad. I'll rent a studio. And I will fucking scream for you, V. Just give me the lines. And they also spell check for me. And they also grammar check for me for fucking free. And like you compare this with the fucking prima donnas that stalk you on Twitter, and like none of my Japanese voice actresses give a fuck about what I say on Twitter. They don't give a shit. They don't care. They're not interested in my politics. They never ask. They keep it professional. It's like, okay, what do you want me to do? I want you to voice act this character. Okay, tell me about the character's personality. Here's the character's personality. Perfect. You'll get the lines delivered by next week. And if a Japanese person tells you that, you better know that by next fucking week you'll have the lines delivered. Oh my god, why is it so difficult to find people like that? Meanwhile, English voice actors, maybe I'll deliver them by the end of the month. And 2 months afterwards, you're like, hey, lady, I have a production. Like, I need to integrate this in the game. I need to also cut the voice lines. I need to add them to the various dialogues. Like, I need to add sound effects. Like, I need to do stuff. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Well, maybe in 1 month. So you literally have to hound them over the fucking internet so that they can do the job that they promised to do. And when you finally get the lines, you notice that most of the time it's just a cold read. And it's like, lady, I know that, like, in the case of Monster Girls, the monster is on the outside. But like, I'm asking you to voice act a demon, right? But you're not really a demon. Like in reality, you're not really a demon. You're a human being. You have a soul, right? Can you put some emotion into the line? Can you actually, like, voice act? Like, I get the voice, it's there, but like, where's the acting? Like, can you, right? No, absolutely fucking not. It's like, and these are the same people that are bitching and whining about AI. They're like, oh my god, AI is coming. Oh, it's going to take my job. What job? You're not doing anything. It's been 5 months, you haven't delivered a single fucking line. Shut the fuck up. So, yeah, like, this is the state of the voice acting in English. I'm pretty sure that maybe people that are like that, but I'm telling you, they're the exception, not the fucking norm. I don't know how, like, voice actors are in other countries, like how the French voice actors are, how the Spanish voice actors are, probably different. But my fucking god, the English voice actors, especially the women, because probably they get more requests, are some of the most self-entitled and arrogant people that literally want to take control of your production, right? And these are the little ones that I'm talking about. These are the nobodies. Now imagine the voice of Azula and other God knows what. So when I see a game, like a AAA game that's hiring an activist that's like a raging activist, not just a rage, she rages. There is no fucking way that actress doesn't want to take control of the entire production and decide like how the art should be made, how the story should be written, what the developers are and aren't allowed to say on Twitter. So this is the reason I do not have hope for the new game. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully, the game will launch and you guys will say, well, V, see, you are stupid. This game is just as good as Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Yaoi is amazing. You're going to have missed out if you don't buy it. As a Montreal native, I apologize. Don't hire women. V, don't hire Westerners. No, don't hire Westerners is probably the take from this. Especially people from California. But you don't just need to not hire them. You need to actively promote them to your competition. Like if I see a person competing with the same genre of game that I'm making, I will recommend them English voice actors. I will give them, I will bring the English voice actors to them. I will start the conversation and I'm the one that invites her there. And I'm like, yeah, hire this lady. She's really good. The game's producer held pronouns in bio. Did you see how bad the Darkspawn look in Democrat Age? The poke guy. I need to call it the Democrat age from now on. Not opposed to Ghost of Yuri, but the Ghost of Yotei is a hard pass. Remember the hot springs where you get naked and you go into the hot spring in Ghost of Tsushima? They're not either they're going to remove the hot springs or they're not going to let you do that. But then again, like, I know who the actress is, and the question is, like, do I want to see her naked? No. Look at the Lobot from GG. I hope they don't screw up the combat or gameplay loop. Alright, sure. Democrat age is perfect. No, I'm stealing it. Like, from now on, I'm calling it Democrat age. I haven't worked with female artists yet. I heard they're trouble as well. But I need to, like, find like, for instance, Western female artists. Yes. Like Vivzy Pop and people like that. You know, like, they draw good. But I also understand that they're like, oh, why did you post on Twitter? Did you post anything on Twitter? Let me see. What are your politics? Who do you hire? Who else works in your company? What is the story? What is the story? Tell me the story. It's like, Jesus. It's such a shame when you think how professional the English voice actors were during the 90s and the early 2000s. Yeah. Now they unionize. Now I don't know. They gatekeep, I guess. Like, they make sure that no one that disagrees with them is part of the production. This is just horrible. You can find decent Western female artists. Again, like, listen to what I say. The descriptions that I gave are the rule, and there are exceptions. Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure you can group one to be a voice actress, right? You find a 25-year-old lady and like, hey, do you want to try voice acting? And you know, like, considering that she never has been in the industry, considering that she never knows or talks with anyone and she doesn't network, then yeah, she would probably just take the job seriously and fucking do the job. I think that the main problem is that a lot of these actors and artists, they unironically think they're the character. Like, I remember the guy who played Superman, not Henry Cavill, the one before that, genuinely acted as if... Oh, The Flash! Another example, The Flash, right? The actor of The Flash genuinely acts as if he is The Flash. Like, they're mental. They don't understand that it's a role. It's not... You're not the character. So, you know, like the voice of Azula, like, she probably thinks she's Azula. She probably thinks she's royalty. It's insane. Yeah, Ezra Miller, yeah. The thing that I liked the most in Ghost of Tsushima was combat. The story was great. I really liked it. It was, again, like a samurai movie thing. They were trying to, you know, talk about how important honor is and what it means to win. And it was a good story. No, I liked it. So anyway, Ubisoft managed to embarrass themselves. And it's afraid. Not only it's afraid, it's also lying. So, I don't know. I think I covered it yesterday, right? But allegedly, the people at Ubisoft, they have a team of historians. They have a team of architects. You know, in order to try and make the games as immersive as possible. And they also have, like, a team of consultants to make sure that their games aren't offending anyone, right? Like, it's not offensive to the culture. So, just so you can understand, after pissing off Japanese people because they're releasing Assassin's Creed Kso, they're also pissing off Japanese people by releasing, hold on, they also pissed them off by stealing from a reenactment group, but they're also posting a broken Tory gate. Now, unfortunately for them, the only broken Tory gate, which is completely ingrained in Japanese history, you cannot be Japanese without knowing about it. And I'm telling you, because I have Japanese translators, I work with Japanese animators, I work with Japanese artists, and I know what they say. And they're basically saying it is fucking impossible for anyone even remotely aware of Japanese culture to not know what the Tory gate represents, the broken one. The only broken Tory gate in existence is the one from Nagasaki that managed to survive the atomic bombing. And for the Japanese people, the atomic bombing is worse than going in public and saying the N-word. Most of their censorship, right? The Japanese people don't censor usually. They're very loose with creativity. They allow pretty much everything, right? But there is one thing they do censor, and that is anything related to the atomic bomb, the mushroom, anything like that. They will not greenlight it. It's kind of like it's legal to show it, but studios will not want to take that commission. They would rather take a manga with underage characters and do that than to take something with the atomic mushroom. That is the culture in Japan. Just so you can understand, I'm trying my best to explain it. And there is reason for this, because a lot of people know others, right? You know about, grandpa talking about the stories, or the great-grandfather was telling the father about the stories, right? So, again, the atomic bomb didn't discriminate, right? It killed women, it killed children, it killed elderly. It's not something nice from that country's history. So, when you're making these references, for them, it's just like saying the N-word. It's literally, hey, seriously, imagine a group of aliens coming to Earth, and we made the game for America with naggers. People that nag, right? And it's like, look, this represents America. This represents your culture. How this is literally what they did. Literally what they did right now. To the point where they're like, oh shit, we fucked it up so bad, so many times, that they're now removing the game. So, they have delayed the game. They don't really explain why it is, but they refused all of the Japanese reporters. They refused all of the interviews, and they're delaying the game again so that it can come out just in time for Black History Month. Assassin's Creed Shadows is a dream project for us, blah 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 blah. So they made a decision to postpone it. From what I understand, the pre-sales are terrible. The other games they released didn't do so well. And now this controversy is something that they enjoy. Did Ubisoft hire Johnny Somali? At this point, given how many times they insulted Japan, they might as fucking well. At least go balls deep. Not just the tip. Just go balls deep. Just hire Johnny Somali as a samurai. Or make a game that it takes place in 2200 and people find out about contemporary history, and you play as Johnny Somali, which is the most beloved person in Japan. He is America's best gift to Japan, and he's just being discriminated against, but he puts a stiff chin up a lip, and he's doing heroic shit. Might as well. If you're that level of revisionism, you might as well just do that. %30 of Romania doesn't have indoor flushing toilets. So a lot of Romania is actually built into the mountains, and we've been a poor nation because we benefited from communism. So in the mountains, it's actually difficult to do plumbing. It's not impossible, it's just expensive. And no one cares because the politicians are greedy and they tax me too much. But they need to keep some of that money for themselves, right? So people live like in the medieval time, yeah. They have a pivy. You don't shit on the streets like in other places over the world. But no, they dig a hole in their backyard and they shit there. It's not preferable. As time moves on, more and more people manage to gain access to sewage. But it is what it is. Yes, it's a rural environment. Johnny Somali to play the Shogun. I wouldn't be surprised. At this point, if I was Ubisoft, that's where I would go. It's like, okay, look, we assaulted the Japanese enough. We can't walk it back. Might as well. Might as well go balls deep. Just like, it will sell. Like, I guarantee you. You put Johnny Somali in the game, it will sell. No septic tanks. Look, man, I'm not really proud of the fact that my country doesn't have sewage everywhere, and there are still some villages without electricity. But I'll tell you this, it's no California. You don't see needles on the streets in those places. You don't see shit on the streets either, like in California, yeah? Right? So, it's not ideal, but it could be worse. At least it's not California. That's my take. People are still very clean there. They usually have a well. And they actually use it. And they bathe constantly. And, you know, yeah, they have to shit in the PV because of the necessity. But the crime rate is low. The people are, you know, they maintain the cleanliness. So it is what it is, yeah. I think I'll end it here. I understand people from Ubisoft are very demoralized because I do talk with a couple of them. But from what I gathered, even the middle management doesn't know what the fuck is going on. My personal headcanon is that they're getting kicked out of Japan. Like, that would have been the funniest shit if Japan just kicked them off from the expo. I would have loved it, but that's just my headcanon. I can't confirm or deny. So, in order to save face, you know, like, the Japanese people, they're willing to allow you to maintain your honor, and you're like, okay, well, if you kicked us, can we at least come up with something so that people don't know you kicked us? Okay. Hi, Gaijin. Right, so next year, for Black History Month, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Da-da-da. Anyway, I'll see you guys. Take care.